Hey guys, Cameron here with Emerson Property Management. Every week I bring you tools, tactics, strategies, lessons I have learned, things that helped me build up a sizable portfolio in about 2 years and now manage that portfolio. Aggressive fingers. Today, y'all, I want to talk about our application process. So, when you guys are getting a tenant, if you're doing this yourself or have a property manager, maybe you want to know what's y'all's application process? Is it super, super onerous where nobody's going to want to apply and you're making it difficult for good tenants to apply? Or is it super, super lax or too lax where you cannot properly, review tenants? And if either of those spectrums come up, there's different problems, right? Too lax leads to problems, too strict leads to issues. So I'm going to walk through our application process. Before I do that, if you guys like this stuff, please give us a like, share, subscribe. It's super helpful. It helps us out. This is free 99. And if you don't, for whatever reason, give us some feedback. Always interested in feedback. It really helps us out and maybe I can learn something too. So application process. If you guys haven't already, because this is kind of the precursor, we have our qualifications. You can look up that video here, and then this will be those qualifications on what we are looking for in our tenants. And then this is the actual application process for our tenants. So this is how we're going to go through that process with the tenants or what they need, the main stuff. This isn't every single exhaustive list, but this will be the main meat and potatoes. And as I mentioned in our qualification video, we have this posted on our website. So if you guys go to emersonpropertymanagement.com/application, and it's under applicants, application process. We send this out to the tenants so they can see it. So if you guys are interested and want to use this rough process, it's more detailed here online, obviously. But if you guys want to use that, feel free to use that as a baseline. Just like our qualifications, they're on there. We update this stuff about once a year. Sometimes if there's a cataclysmic issue, we might do it 2 or 3 times a year, but use this as the foundation. Always go back to the source of truth, because I'm going to give you what we have now, but next week it might not be accurate. Again, we are doing everything we're doing based on lessons learned from mistakes we've made or mistakes other property managers have made. So a long-winded way of saying, Cameron, get to it, buddy. We want to learn about this application process. So in our application process, we want the tenants, after we give them the qualifications to make sure we have decent tenants, we want them to present this information and have this information. So the first thing is 3 years of landlord information. I describe in that qualification video on why that is and what it is, but we want to make sure we have their information. And from time to time, we get a little sneaky tenant that comes in and says, my mom is my landlord. My dad is my landlord. My brother is my landlord. Be very cognizant and cautious of that if you see that. So there's things that we can do, or you can do a double deposit or a cosigner. There's all sorts of stuff, but make sure you get 3 years. If they have a mother, father, or family member or friend that's represented as their landlord, be careful. That's a red flag, as the young bucks say. Current and previous employer. So make sure they provide that information to you so that you can run this, make sure that they work where they say they work. And this comes up a lot with people who are self-employed. Well, I'm my own employer. You want to talk to me? I'll tell you what I make. And then I'll tell you I make, 50 grand a month or whatever. So make sure you get their current and previous employer. If they're self-employed, we gather 2 years of tax returns. So that is a really good way, and they cannot hide that because that's what they report to the government. Not that they can't screw over the government, not that I exactly hate that, but the odds of them lying on their tax form, pretty low, so you can get an accurate gauge of that. Emergency contact. Y'all, this comes up so much. Make sure you get it up front, because once they get in there, they may or may not put it on, or if you forget to put it on the lease, but make sure you have emergency contact. House burns down, some problem comes up, and you need to get a hold of somebody. Tenants die. That has happened. I thankfully have not, knock on wood, have not had to deal with that. But it does happen from time to time, and you want to make sure you know who to call or who to get a hold of, because it can be a very messy situation. Stinky too, apparently. Driver's license and passport, or some sort of ID. You know, we do in Houston, we have obviously a great international culture. So we have people from South and Central America, people who come in for the transportation, medical, oil and gas industry or energy industry. So people come from all over. Just make sure you're getting a proper documentation. Could be a driver's license if it's easy, passport, EIN, anything that's government issued. Make sure you get that information. So they can't say they're, some goofball or whatever. And then proof of income. Again, like I mentioned, if they're self-employed, you want to make sure you gather a little bit more information from their W-2. From their 1099 if they're self-employed. If they're a W-2 employee and they work for somebody else, it's usually pretty easy and just get pay stubs. Now, I will tell you, be very cognizant and cautious. I feel like I'm saying cognizant a lot, but be cautious of pay stubs that look weird. There are websites now that, tenants can go to create fake pay stubs. So if they have to make whatever your qualifications are on your criteria, that, they can say they make $150,000 a year, even though they might make 50. So be careful of that stuff. The other thing I left off here, and I shouldn't have left it off, because national data shows about 80% of tenants have pets. But if you are processing somebody with a pet, make sure you get their pictures of their pets. You want to see this 10-pound dog that's really 100. Might have left off a 0 on an accident. Oops. And make sure you know what they look like. So they can't say Fluffy is a, lab. Mixed dogs, also big red flag there. Make sure you check that stuff out. That's the main stuff that they need. So if they're going to go through, again, other video for the qualifications, they're going to gather this stuff for our application process that lays everything out here on our website. And then they're going to take that and they're going to go to a website or our application link. They're going to fill out all that information using this data that they have, upload pictures, upload pay stubs. And then we tell them that if they don't complete the application, that we are not processing it. Now, you got to be realistic. If a tenant's having trouble, that some of our older tenants aren't really tech savvy, so they might think they submitted something, but it's a good way to say incomplete applications will not be processed. So you can go on here again and see that. Once they submit our online application, they are required to do the pet screening. Again, we outsource that to petscreening.com. That's another link up here. At the time of this recording, I don't see any reason to go away from them. They've been really great for us. But it's a third party that specializes in that. Again, you can see those details and I can do a deeper dive in another video on that. Yes, so after we get that, they fill out the application, they have this data, they submitted their pet profile, then we are going to review it. We're going to send it over to AccuTrack. I don't even know how to friggin' spell that. They spell it very strangely, and I'm from Southern Ohio and have a public education, so my spelling's not exactly great. I use autocorrect a lot, but it goes through there. They screen everything based on our criteria and the qualifications I was mentioning. They screen it for us. You guys could use Zillow. There's umpteen different websites out there that you guys can use to screen your tenants. Just make sure that you're doing it in a systematic way. And that is another reason that we post these on our website. Fair housing and discrimination is no joke, and they will hammer you. There are actually secret shoppers that go around, or secret tenants that go around and act like tenants wanting to apply to property. And if they talk about a hardship or something that they had, and they feel that you're moving the line on them at all, they will slap you with a discrimination or a fair housing fine. And those things can be super expensive, let alone, all the other moral issues you have with discriminating against folks. And you know how many times I hear this? I don't want to get off on too much tangent, but I hear it a lot. I don't want a person with a bunch of kids. A single person would be great with no animals. Okay, what if they have an ESA animal? You can't, that's fair housing. You cannot just discriminate against somebody's medical condition. So that's a whole other separate story. But make sure, my point in saying all that is, once you have what they need to apply, give them all the same application. It's good. Even if you don't have a website, you don't want to do this, just put it on some bullet points. Give it to them on a piece of paper, create a Google Doc, do whatever. Just make sure you're processing people systematically. We put it on the website so anybody and everybody can see this. Anytime we update it, it's live, everybody else gets it. And then make sure, again, the screening criteria, you're screening people the same, you're processing tenants the same. In some states, There is process. You can process based on the best applicant. Some states it's first come, first serve. You have to see where you're at in your local regulation and laws. But that's what we do, y'all. We make sure we have enough, the tenants have enough data. We get them to enter that into an online application. Everybody is going through the same application. They have a tenant, they go to our third-party service to fill that out. And then from there, we will review it after it's complete. Everybody, it's another note, everybody above the age of 18 or 18 and above in the house must complete an application. This has come up time and time again where some tenants, they're trying to hide cousin Eddie or Uncle Eddie because he's a felon or a criminal or something, or who knows, a dirtbag, and people don't put him on the lease or want to, and they hide out there. So just be careful, do it all the same, use our qualifications if you would like. Again, we update this stuff all the time, but this application process, or combined with our screening process, we lease properties in under 30 days. We provide our 30-day lease guarantee, and we have less than a 1% eviction rate. So I'm not saying we're the best, but we're doing some things right, and we're constantly updating this, as you should. If you're finding mistakes, whether that's your property manager, leasing agent, or you're making, continue to update and improve your processes. Okay, y'all, that's enough. I'll talk to you guys later. See you next week.